Welcome back, friends, to Occultists Anonymous. It has been a little bit, unless you're watching us on YouTube, in which case, maybe it's just been a couple minutes. I don't know. As always, sponsored by Roll20, the Onyx Path, and viewers like you. Thank you very much to our patrons who support us monetarily, give us a little hard-earned cash of your own, or maybe it was easily earned, I don't know. And contributes to, us updating stuff, getting new gear and equipment. I have finally located a mic arm and shock mount combo, and I now have space on my desk. So we'll see how that goes. But a special shout out to Adele, Al, Alan Michael, Alexander, Andromeda, Andromeda. There it is. There's going to be a couple of these guys. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. Bernie, Blood Angel, Brandon, Chris, Daniel, Delore, Drew Baca, Drew Manser, Drew Stigos, Emil, Funzu Sufruali. Sorry, man. Happy Drew Year, Harry Druden, Jack, Jenny, Josh, Cat Feathers, Crazy Man 1984, Michael, Milo V3, Moku, Neomegus, Noba, Perry, Puppeteer, Ramon, Roy Visgrad, Ryan, Senna, That Dude, Thomas, and Thomas. I have two Thomases. You guys need to figure it out amongst yourselves. Toast, Usif Sama, Vortex, Winnie the Drew, Woodfoot, and Zoltan. Thank you guys very much for your support and your harassment.
Nobody did Drooby Doo?
Nobody did Drooby Doo. Nobody did Drucifer, which is the one that comes up a lot. So
that's the only one I liked.
Yeah.
I like Happy Drew Year.
That's fair.
Yep. It's it's definitely a new year.
I'll ban each and every one of you motherfuckers if you do it to me.
Okay, there we go.
What happened?
No, sorry, it was just me and bro. Dang it.
Oh, it's there now.
It's gone again.
Oh.
I pressed refresh just as it popped up. Okay. That's fine. Everything's fine. There's the thing. Okay. Fabulous. Oh boy. So yeah, can you tell it's been a couple weeks since we've played? Right.
Hey guys, welcome to our first stream.
First stream of this year.
Into a new era.
We've had a bit of a week.
Yes, that's very true. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check the, what happened this week and
recording date.
Yeah. Professional streamers, exactly that. So when we last left the Cabal, however, they were hadn't yet been inducted, but were about to be inducted into the Council of the Tomb Tomes. And we're basically set up in a massive underground bunker with a number of families and, families, and other members of the council, which is basically a giant nameless order. I say giant in the fact that it has a bunch of sleepers and is not just a bunch of mages, like many nameless orders tend to be. And as they were getting comfortable and relaxed, this man of definitely multiple ethnicities, very blended heritage kind of thing, with very unique clothing that seemed alive and... Well, yeah, alive, I guess, is probably the only thing you could immediately get. Mind magic says it doesn't have a mind, so... And shows up and says, so, you guys have a visitor that I'm supposed to extract from you, and I'm sure you guys have some questions. And Nako flips open a book and says, yeah, we do. So we pick up with, I almost said half, but some of the Cabal sitting together in this kind of rudimentary Fallout shelter living room. It's got a nice couch and love seat and a couple chairs. Sitting down, Nako is like, I'm gonna make some tea, digging through a bunch of boxed up, it's got powdered milk and stuff like that. But you guys find yourself sitting and having tea and cookies with an Archmage, who we pick up from saying, I'm sorry that you all were swept into this, but it's the nature of fate magic that don't have exact direct control. If you want to specify what the end result is, you kind of have to go along for the ride, even when you've ascended to my level. I mean,
Just sort of head shakes and glances back and forth between the two of them.
that would be between Weird and the Archmage.
It's so nice to talk to somebody who gets that.
But I believe you guys may have questions, and I feel I owe you at least some answers, the ones that I can provide to you.
Most of mine are fairly direct.
Sure.
Did you break this other mage? Did you do this?
I did, but it was not by myself. There were other, we call ourselves bodhisattvas, who were involved in the process. The entombed one, for lack of a better name, was one of our members and went down a left-handed path, and we thought there was a chance for redemption, and so this was our method of rehabilitation and deep meditation.
So are you assuming that when you wake him up, he'll be better?
I think that's more of a hope.
It is more of a hope.
How old are you?
In what context and perspective of time?
Because as far as we could tell, these things range in ages. Some of them are very, very old. Are they really? Did you make them old?
I planted them in places in time, so by your perspective, yes, they are actually that old.
When were they actually made?
That's not a...
Oh, I mean, he'll be pretty blunt. This is it's 2019, isn't it? A couple hundred years in the future.
Okay.
What?
It's time magic.
Yeah.
Questions about... Any question that starts with a when is going to be very confusing.
I mean, what year were you born?
I was born in 2263. Though that 2263, at this point, will never actually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be helpful to give you an anchor point if you think of time not as a linear progression, but as a location.
But that's...
I mean, this one doesn't answer my question of how old this guy is. Are you legitimately just like 50 years old?
The question is irrelevant.
From the time you were born to the age you are now,
Right.
It is a thing.
In short, my perspective of the world and the time that has passed, I'm about 70, give or take.
All right.
For those of you in the podcast audience, this would be Songbird / Chris sitting there with a pained expression on their face going, I kind of get it.
No, I
No.
don't.
Okay.
Songbird certainly doesn't.
Hey, you're trying. We appreciate it.
You... Okay.
So there's like-minded folks out there?
Yeah. It is our intent. We don't all necessarily agree on methods, but our focus is less in self-advancement and ascension and such, and more concerned with humanity as a whole. My particular method is, as with the Council of the Tomb Tomes and quite a few other different groups throughout time, to nudge and protect humanity from terrible dangers, but also to try and guide them to, I wouldn't say global awakening, but more frequent awakenings. There has been an uptick. It's minor, but it's there, so I will continue to labor on.
Just doing what I can.
I mean, that's good.
Looks at Songbird, and there's a little moment of, oh, okay. Fair, yeah, appreciate it.
You were / are Anabrimos?
Yes.
Okay.
I was. At this point, I now walk my own path. I'm not as bound on the path of the Aether and the same as yours, but it is the basis on which I built my own path. If you think of yours as a highway, mine is a frontage road that only I drive on.
So not a frontage road.
Yeah, I know, the metaphor falls apart. It's an elevated sky lane above the interstate. You don't have those yet,
cool.
but you'll get there.
An HOV lane that's only for you.
It's a pretty good one.
I gotta tell
How
Jay-Z
many,
about this.
How many of there are you? Not you, but your group.
The Bodhisattvas, depending on the specific time, about 20 of us. Now, bear in mind, and like looking over at Songbird's reaction, I don't go bouncing around through time. It was a lot of work amongst a bunch of us to send our friend, and kind of looks back towards that through walls and such like that to where you guys had left the codex, the cipher. That took a lot of work amongst all of us to scatter him. At this point now, I have been here for the past 100 years or so, jumping forward little bits.
How much of what we did was us?
All of it.
We just happened to stumble across this?
Yeah.
But someone would always have done
Basically.
so?
Yeah, we in some way or fashion. It is possible, hindsight is much easier. It is possible that the Seers would have collected up all these pieces and traveled potentially to that same cottage by happenstance, or a similar place.
There were also contingencies for in case it didn't happen.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
They said that they would then go somewhere else at another time and see if it's there now.
Yeah, there were chances and events that would tweak possibilities. Fortunately, this particular event is not something that others are strongly not strongly opposed to. There are those who probably wish to collect my friend and twist them to their purposes. When he awakens, he will probably be a little malleable.
Oh.
So when the codex was still separated, the rotes that were there, were they the rotes of the mage, or
Yes.
were they there as breadcrumbs to?
There are portions. I suspect at this point the grimoires represent a subset of his rotes. I don't know how many he has, but I suspect, upon looking at the grimoires, they are, half of what he knew.
So, when you wake him up, what's the plan for if he's not all better and rehabilitated?
Then I will act as executioner and destroy his soul. Which
I just don't want to leave a mad Archmage loose.
No.
How-
Yeah. The goal is that we will have a friend who, after several millennia of stewing and being alone with his thoughts, will see reason. Well, I say alone with his thoughts. They're not all his own thoughts that are in there, but he had tutors and guides and aspects of us that locked in with him.
How will you know if he's changed?
Very likely when he wakes, if he tries to kill me or not.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of rehabilitation method, but we can just hope it works.
It's not exactly, from the outside, from your perspective, I'm sure it looks potentially heinous. And I can understand that, and I understand that you have known me for a whopping 2 minutes, but you will have to trust me that this is the method that we determined would be the most likely to succeed and the least damaging to all of humanity.
Okay.
At the end of the day, he is but one man with a lot of power and a lot of knowledge that we wish to use, but to let him wreak havoc upon half the world's population? Nope.
Did you have that cabin under some sort of surveillance or monitoring, or was it just ordained that it would, not ordained, but foresaw that it would happen on that date?
It was foretelling, as I understand and have looked into. That seems to be a special place for you.
It's where my awakening happened.
Interesting. That
Indeed.
poses a whole bunch of additional questions that, sadly, we do not have time for.
You mentioned that someone out there has their eye on me.
Yeah. As I look up my own notes. ST notes. Oh, where did I write this down? But yes, there is an entente. I'm going to, Drew is real quick going to say, I think it's the alienists. But Right Hall definitely knows the right group, but they're the ones who study the supernal directly, the beings therein, and the greater beings here, things beyond your ability to summon and reckon with. And I guess I could say that they watch this project of yours with interest. Alienated. That's the one. Not alienists, alienated.
You know the individual that implanted the Dark Rider in Atratus?
I am not familiar with her, and this will be an interesting conversation.
Will this be resolved in a way that won't get me killed?
That is my goal. The extraction of the Dark Passenger will be harmless to you.
Well, yeah. I'm more referring to the fallout afterwards.
Let me just say bluntly, I won't let her do anything to you all.
Okay, thank you.
It is, at the end of the day, the least I can do for A, somebody who's merely a messenger, and then B, the bearers of my tomb tomes.
Songbird looks like
Can't believe you made these people say those words
Yeah.
back to back over and over again for thousands of years.
I mean, it wasn't until it was translated into English that it became
Cumbersome.
cumbersome.
Sure, it's still like 1,000 years, though.
Yeah, in Old English it wasn't as bad.
Sure. Songbird just like starts speaking in Swedish.
And trying to figure out what it would have been.
Or Norwegian.
Yeah.
Not Swedish. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds much better.
What's your favorite food?
I haven't...
Do you eat? Yeah.
I don't necessarily need to anymore. It's cumbersome. I do delight in eating good food, but it is not necessary.
That's answered the question I really wanted to know, but I didn't want to ask it in that way.
But to go back, like anything with rice and oil and veggies, just any mixture thereof, it always ends up good.
Good.
That's true.
It's simple, but I mean, depending on what you throw in there, you can get something extravagant, you can get something simple, and it is a food that is eaten from the lowly to the high.
This guy's from a cyberpunk, isn't he?
Did the living clothes not give it away?
Forgot about that part.
I just thought they were magic.
Little A, little B.
Yeah.
We actually
So,
answered that
alright.
one, Moonwatcher, so go check the VOD.
So I think at last count we were navigating a minefield of 3 or 4 archmages.
Well, there's myself. There's at least the seer who wants to speak to me, a seer who wants to stop me because I'm not quite sure why, or perhaps they don't even realize what they're getting involved in.
She intimated that she wanted to form an alliance with another archmage against some other archmage.
Oh, yes. No, you're...
Not an archmage.
Oh, I thought it was.
No. She's trying to kill the minister.
Oh, the
who
minister.
is an
well,
archmage,
Oh, okay.
technically.
Yeah.
They were like above them.
Yes, but
So we got
they're an archmage who has basically bound themselves and merged at least a portion of themselves with the exarchs themselves. They are terrible and they are atrocious. Well, except for the Paternoster guy. He's just trying to wing it.
Just trying to pretend.
Sorry, spoilers. Probably don't want to necessarily spread around to your concilium friends that the minister of the Paternoster actually doesn't speak with the father and just kind of is winging it. That would be terrible to get out.
so it makes it 4 or 5 archmages sort of in play. I feel like those are all wrecking balls rolling around a big field, and we're like tiny glass marbles.
Not a terrible analogy, though the Pax Arcanum, due to the rules thereof, this, kind of pointing off to the tomb, is a internal matter amongst our Entente, and it's something that the other Ententes are kind of discouraged from getting involved in. As such, most of what we will see in the coming days will be pawns.
Right, which is kind of what the crux of my concern is, that we are now going to be on the radar of 4 or 5 archmages. Is there a path for us?
Why?
Not for long. And you...
Why would we be?
Yeah.
Because we are.
Well, for now. At this...
It's like when you show up to the first day of
After
school
this
and the
resolves-
principal already knows your name.
After this resolves, we're not going to be attached to anything that concerns them.
Right.
Yeah, Ursula
that-
wanted us to get to these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So that thread connected. Hopefully done.
To,
And then they'll wrap up whatever their thing is.
to be a little blunt, Archmages are like kids in a sandbox. They really enjoy playing with that thing for that minute, and then something else catches their eye and they begin to work on that. Unless you really get an Archmage's attention, either because you're a useful agent, which you all are, but you are not useful to me. You all are a bit free-willed and on your own paths. But because of
I'm starting to get worried about that.
yeah, I like you all, but bluntly, I've shown you my face. I just can't be involved with you all anymore. I mean, I actually could. There's no like rules against it or anything like that. It's not like the
Okay.
Mandalorian, but because even the Archmage has seen the Mandalorian.
I mean, if he's living in this time, he's got to be doing something, right?
Right. Yeah, meanwhile, Songbird very confused. Who? What? What are we talking about? But
Is this a history thing, Atratus?
yes, pat his
Yes.
shoulder.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Absolutely.
A long
I mean,
time
technically,
ago.
it is history, and it's a
I know
long
you
time
studied
ago.
the Minotaurians and stuff, you know?
Mhm.
Ow. Minoans, but yes.
And
And
the Minotaurs.
Absolutely what Songbird would say. It is just accurate enough that they would be convinced that that was the right word.
Yep.
yep. But no.
I've never been to Italy anyway, so it's fine.
Uh-huh.
So, we're back. I love it. Yeah, to put you at ease, Weird, as this particular event blows over, new concerns will step up to the Archmages. If by happenstance you move from here and find yourselves caught up in another Archmage's plot, and it's the same Archmage, then you may want to be concerned.
Okay. Just
You want to
wanna
give
make
us some, like,
we're-
ruby slippers or something?
No.
right.
But I will give you fair warning, as far as I am aware. You all are well away from touching any other plans that I am aware of.
Good. I would like to keep it that way.
Mhm.
I can understand that.
Songbird like immediately pulls out a notebook and starts like drawing plans for something. No.
Oh.
Fair warning would be a great name for a weapon.
Put it on the list, right? Very well. Sips at his tea. Nako,
Yeah,
of course,
but-
has all sorts of questions about his clothes, which basically come down to he gets tired of finding appropriate clothes and instead has made clothes that change.
Hmm.
Little life,
take
little
it.
matter.
Hashtag Archmage trouble.
Yep.
Archmage problems.
He kept hard as clothes.
Yes.
Doesn't seem that fancy.
Not too much, but a little bit unnecessary. But on the plus side, I am very rarely ever seen by mages, let alone sleepers. So
Do you get lonely?
no.
Just no,
That's a really fast answer.
no attachments at all anymore?
I have attachments to other things. I have a home that is populated with servants and agents and beings of my own creation and imagination. Now, occasionally I will find myself surrounded by things of my own making, but that is where there are the other bodhisattvas that I will reach out to and speak with, and we will collaborate on a project. Or it's hard to get lonely when you're effectively being watched over the shoulder constantly by other archmages to make sure that you're not bringing about the downfall of humanity or accidentally opening the abyss wider or something of that nature.
Are there others from your order who are here now? Or are they scattered through time?
Yes, there are definitely some who, when I came here, I, made my, similar to what you would do when you enter a new city. Who's here? Let me make myself known. Hi, guys, I'm not getting in your way. This is what I'm working on. If it happens to cross paths with yours, let's work something out. And I did that when I arrived in, air quote, modern times.
What do you think is the best way for us to help your followers?
Elder Uncle, the father, will definitely be speaking with you about that. I suspect it will heavily rely on the additional knowledge you all have, because most of their magic is focused on combative uses. They do obviously have, an understanding of the arcana, but there are probably going to be aspects and perspectives that they haven't thought of. There will be things that they've encountered before. Many of them, their experience has been fairly minimal, especially in terms of actual magical combat. I do know that there will be a couple challengers who would show up alone and unarmed and challenge and request a duel. So have that.
Songbird. You got it, right?
Mm-hmm.
As I understand it, Songbird is an accomplished duelist.
What I do.
I would suggest you speak with the elder brother. You two would probably enjoy sparring, though please be careful about what you spar over, because those little tweaks to the supernal really do occasionally start to add up.
You didn't come through.
I just said interesting.
Any further questions?
You don't have questions?
Judd kind of raises his hand.
Motherfucker, why?
Yeah. Which basically boils down to, it was your chance. It was a body picked at the right time and place. And yeah, without delving into it too heavily, Righthall basically says, I'm really fucking sorry. And knows there isn't really anything he can do or say to fix things, other than suggesting that when it's all done, he could take Judd back and drop him off, and he could live out his life back in, where he was left, where he walked out. But Judd is not into it. It's like, I'm already on this path. Who knows what changes that could make? And at the end of the day, it would be very hard to go back. Just because, things have changed massively, and he's seen them all, and he's not the same person he was when he left. Now he has these cool powers. Dun dun dun. Which actually, very good segue. If you guys don't have any other further questions for Righthall,
I'm good.
Cool. Time 7, remove the powers. So yes, Deviant early backer kit release it. So yes, Judd now has powers. I've worked on these the past couple weeks. That's a lie. Last week. Had some folks join me in Discord, which, quick reminder, come by yeetinto.space and come hang out with me as we skim through books occasionally and go like, hey, that sounds like a Judd power. Ooh, that one does too. Ooh, that one does too. Wow, these are really, all these could be Judd. And we gotta limit, we gotta produce that down. So without digging in too heavily into the stuff Judd does and has, and I'm going to throw some words out here that if you don't have the Deviant book may not make sense to you, and I apologize. But, and his character sheet, when the fillable character sheet is available, will go up and it'll be on Patreon so everybody can see. And you can put Judd in your own game as a little cameo character, just like you want to play Judd, the Deviant from ancient Peru. You could do that. But he's an exomorph, which basically means he didn't ask for this. It just kind of happened. He is, yes. The little sunglasses.
Wait, it just kind of happened, or it happened to him? Not two different things.
Well, in particular, exomorphs are the ones where they didn't
unwilling,
right. Didn't ask for it.
Right. Okay.
Something, and it could be something that just happened to him by chance, or somebody did something to him. And he is a coactive, which basically means there are some kind of additional energies in his system. Duh. Blah, 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 blah.
He got that death juice.
He got a lot of death juice and the crown and hanging out in the tomb and yeah. So I'm trying to think of the best way to describe these. Okay, so yeah. He has hypercompetence in social skills. Basically is able to add his intelligence to all social skills. It's just they are also all counted as trained, and he also has a specialty in whatever he is doing at the time, which means that if he picks up merits for bonuses to specializations or anything like that, they also apply. The downside to that is, in order to deal with that ability, Judd has compartmentalized an alternate persona. That alternate persona is, on the plus side, a partner. They both kind of agree on what needs to be done, but not necessarily the methods. You may recognize that speech because that's that other persona is aware of what Judd is doing when he is not in charge. Judd, however, is not aware of what the other persona does. And the other persona is also called a superior persona, wherein this particular variation, hypercompetence, Judd himself doesn't actually have access to. If he wants to use that, he basically has to go, all right, buddy, you're in the driver's seat and sit back. So, yeah. And just hope. Now, fortunately, and with the help of everybody else, we kind of determined, because of where this originated from, it's the judge, capital J, aspect of him that kind of comes up, wells up, levels, judgment, learns, investigates, and then goes, cool, I figured out what I need to know, and I've leveled judgment on people, because technically, while that persona is active, he still has access to all his other variations as well. And then can go, cool, I'm done. And Judd gets to pop up and go, what the fuck did I just do? Deviant, it's not great.
Nope.
Now, of course, because of all the ghost rotes that were on Judd's bones, he has now a otherworldly connection, which actually, let me go pull this book up and go through this stuff, because it's pretty fucking ridiculous, the things he can do with ghosts. It turns out, by the way, that while we haven't been paying attention, he and Gabe have been getting along real well. We just hadn't realized it.
Until just right now.
Until just right now. There were a couple of variations where I was like, ooh, that would be great. Except that we definitely have not discussed that. And it probably wouldn't be appropriate for him to suddenly have it now. Let's see here. Yes, okay. So, otherworldly connection. At this level, he can perceive entities, places, things, and forces connected with ghosts. Doesn't give him any specialized knowledge, but he can see them. At 2 dots, which he also has, he can communicate with them, and they recognize him as inherent connection to their kind, granting Judd an effective status among them equal to half his scar power, which, let's see, which one was this tied to? Otherworldly connection is tied to maintenance mental. So based on his intelligence, he gets some status. He also is able to strike and touch ghosts, even if they're in Twilight. Of course, the reverse happens, so they can also touch him. So, like I said, Judd and Gabe can like go carouse at 4 as a directed effect. In other words, he has to focus his attention. He can attempt to exorcise ghostly things. Let's see here. It will. If you're exercising a hostile alien intelligence, it's a series of Clash of Wills, and they have to get up to enough, and each one costs a point of willpower. So it's a draining thing. He can't do it like super easily, but it's a thing he could do. And at magnitude 5, he can actually force them to appear. It's a Clash of Wills, and then it basically forces them into the material plane. To quote The Broken, the other term for deviants, can summon one otherworldly phenomenon per story, but each additional summoning during the story causes medium instability, which is not great.
Not good.
Seems bad.
Oh man, the thing that really stuck with me from Deviant read through so far was the term they have for non-deviants.
Baseline.
You're boring.
Yep.
No, like control
basic.
subjects.
Yeah.
It's so much worse than sleepers. It's
Yes,
like,
it is.
oh yeah. It's like, oh no, we got these powers, but fuck.
Yep.
Really wish we didn't.
The downside to this ghostly connection, besides all the ghost powers that the ghost attention he probably doesn't necessarily want, they also require maintenance, which basically means he has to kind of go through some mental centering things to enable him to actually see and perceive these things. Otherwise, it just kind of falls off, which is also the reason Gabe didn't seem to be doing much with ghosts for the longest time until he had a little sit down with Gabe or some other ghost and realized, oh, hey, because this particular maintenance is, it requires assistance. And of course, everybody had the brilliant idea of, oh, you know, it's a little mental ritual and you need assistance, but you need a ghost to help you kind of reset that connection. So yeah, until Gabe started hanging around, it's like, aha, brilliant. Okay. And then he does have an attack. He does have the lash power, which is like, if you guys are interested in like,
it's literally like 4 pages. It's fucking wild.
It's terrific. If you are interested as a storyteller and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to play Deviant, I highly suggest picking up Deviant just for the variety of powers. Lash especially helps you really build out a unique ability that has a lot of different perks and powers and stuff like that to just make an attack. And it's like, okay, let me pick this, this, and this. And because of the magnitude system, you kind of have an idea of how powerful of an ability is this versus the others, which is kind of nice. But his is a strength plus weaponry gentle lash, which means it does 0 damage. It ignores defense and is instead resisted by composure. But basically, any damage he does on a targeted attack, so heads or limbs or anything like that, counts as, I can't remember which this one's tied to physical. So it does his strength in additional damage for stunning somebody if you target the head, arm and leg rack. So basically, this turns Judd into one of those dim mock, no-touch masters, because there's just this swirl of ghost energy, and all of a sudden, my arm! I can't! What did you do to me? And Judd is like, sup, bitch. And as somebody was like, well, you
May taught you the 5-finger exploding heart.
Right. And so somebody brought up in chat, was like, well, you could make the lash do damage. And I was like, no. That's what the Eskrima sticks are for. When he wants to beat somebody's head in, he's got big old beating sticks. And then finally, just because of the little free dot, every deviant gets a free dot in something somewhere. For Judd, we gave him anomalous biology, ageless, functionally immortal, won't just die flat out. Now, he still can be killed. There is a regeneration thing that basically means your cells will just reconstitute and you're like Wolverine. But this particular one is just, you don't age, which also we're like, aha. And this also takes care of that little bit of, well, he wasn't allowed to die. Supe wouldn't let him die and the temple wouldn't let him die. But he also is not like super wrinkly. He was, skinny and decrepit and hadn't eaten for a couple 100 years, but didn't age. And that would be why. So, yes, we now know what Judd's powers are. He is a total badass. He's super cool. He is not a frontline fighter. He can hold his own in a, fight, but he's not like lashing out and doing all sorts of, crazy stuff. And yes, plot convenient reasons. So yes, thank you to the folks who joined me on Discord to go through this book and figure out how these things even worked, because trying to figure out how scars entangle with variations is definitely a complex thing. It's not spellcasting complex. Once you've got it set up, you're good. But it took a minute. So yes, Judd has powers, and we know what they are now. And I will stop staring into the camera, demanding the Deviant book. Now I start staring into the camera and demand, Mummy.
Give Mummy.
Give Mummy, please. Cool. But yes, like I said, Rytal and Judd have a little chat. And compared to you guys, like, Rytal feels bad that you guys got, lumped into this, but it was going to happen to somebody. Judd, they don't know that necessarily. Like, Rytal says, it could have taken form in, like, a book, like a lot of the other ones did, or some other form. Rytal is not 100% sure what happened and how the spell, which a lot of it relied on fate to basically engineer everything to be separate until it would be brought together at the right time. And by happenstance, these were all little things that connected to you all. And, well, actually, when it all comes down to it, back to Pip grabbing Songbird and saying, hey, go find this grimoire, which led to that grimoire, which led to another grimoire, which led to, oh, there's a bunch of them, and then you guys are here. And yes, sorry, Kamo, this is going to take you like 1 billion years worth of coding to make a character creator. Which, hey, shout out for Kamo. If you want to make a mage, there is a character creator Excel sheet that kind of walks you through and helps you actually create a character for mage, which is super cool. That's over on my Discord. And it just uses Excel and including like Chrome sheets, if I remember correctly. So you're like, anybody can use it. Cool. Was there anything at this little chit chat with Rytal the Archmage? Everybody's kind of shaking their heads. So Rytal kind of, yeah. Rytal leaves and Adratus goes, wait, no. 1 second, please. And which basically ends up being a Goche summoning. You're familiar with it. Pulls it out, and I was going to say metaphorically, but I think actually physically, Rytal.
I have the 4.Ebon Phoenix thing.
Oh yeah, you can just be like, get the fuck out. Though I think you may run into issues with rank because you still have Mind 4, right? Yeah. So you would be short on rank. But yeah, that's true. While we were away, well, actually, no, we haven't got there yet because you're still back on Gnosis 5.
We haven't spent the time yet, right?
Yep. But yeah, Rytal basically summons this Goetia version of Dolores. Ursula. Wow, I thought 2 weeks would fix me, but apparently not. And literally grabs by the scruff and says, we're going to go. And they're gone.
And flies her away.
Yes. It's like, we're going to have this conversation elsewhere. So yes. Bye. Yeah. And just like that, you are free. Which it's like, hey, look, I can go open that mental door to the other wing of the house and be like, somebody get some sage and we got to cleanse that shit out. Is it sage? Yeah,
I can drop that spell now.
Oh, yes. It's like, and a relaxing of your, like, was it +3 to composure and resolve or something like that?
Yeah, it was +4.
Oh yeah, I can think like a regular human being. Look over at weird with 6 composure.
5.
5.
Yeah, I've normally got 3 composure, 2 resolve.
Gotcha. So yeah, with that, and this is actually probably going to work out pretty well because we got about 30 minutes left. Some things happen, as I mentioned before. If you're catching us now on Twitch Live, sorry, you're in for a bit of a narrative bit here. But the good guys win. Weird. I think you did the divination. It's like, when's the next attack coming? It's like, basically tomorrow. It's like, oh, okay, great. The attacks over the next month are spread out. This is not some like heavy siege where every day you are dealing with a new threat. It's more like every couple weeks. Some of the threats show up. The very first threat is literally basically I almost said legion, but that's a bit large. A large squad of heavily armed Navy SEAL-esque commandos that try and sneak in. The Council of the Tomb Tomes do not have a problem with this because the mages go, "Hey, somebody's coming through," and they go, "Cool, where?" And you hear machine gun fire. The rest are probably not going to be that easy. The overarching picture that gets painted as you guys are actually the next morning initiated, which is basically a series of oaths. You can definitely recognize that these are magically enforced oaths of basically silence. Well, not silence, secrecy, better term. And loyalty. Nothing too like onerous, and it still feels very like, okay, I think we're the good guys here. None of these are like, crazy obedience or anything like that. It's like you don't talk about this order. You don't talk about what you do with them. And when you are given orders, you do them to the best of your ability. You take care of the people next to you. If people have concerns or problems, you help them. And basically, as you guys have seen, a lot of it is, this is a giant family. Fortunately, there's plenty enough people that it's not weird and inbred. And it's, through multiple generations has been passed down through this. And there's definitely some people who have stepped away, branches of this huge family tree that is, pruned off just due to accident or misadventure or anything like that. But they all know in some way or other a job and purpose. There's quite a few, especially the appropriate, 16 to, 30 age range that are definitely soldiers, flat out. None of them seem to be dumb grunts. They're trained in guerrilla warfare and tactics. None of them are Navy SEALs, super intense trained kind of stuff. Some of the youngest, let's say boys and girls, because some of them are, 16, 17, 18, are like, I was in high school the other day and now I'm here. Some of them were homeschooled, some were not. And, they're not hardened commandos, but most of them believe and understand. And, when you have a little book that says, hey.
Yeah, they've also had like 1,500 years to prepare.
Right. Yeah. Some of this stuff is, kind of trained into them and they know. There's definitely, especially after that first attack, there's definitely some, okay, this just got real. That was gunfire. Those are dead bodies out there. And there's some talk amongst all of them, the mages and one of the messengers arriving and speaking. And it's like, this is the end game. And then a immediate reminder after, this is not the end of the world. This is a thing that we are going to get through. We're going to do our best. There is some talk and it's the kind of coded stuff that you guys are used to hearing from Guardians and Silver Ladder about how trust in the elder members. They are here to take care of you. They may ask you to do odd and bizarre things, but they are for your benefit. They've taken the same oaths that you have. The following weeks after, there's another attack, much larger, masked. There's trucks with machine guns on the back. It is far more of a modern fight, and there are spells flung that I imagine Songbird definitely is involved in, probably all of you, in counterspelling and stopping the other mages working alongside you. And there are injuries, and there are some people freaking out about, bind the wound, and you watch as, who'd that be? Elder Aunt basically shows up and basically yells at a bunch of people to just get the fuck away, which is, this nice little teachery lady, and she goes full stern with a ruler, and yelling at them all to get away. And, a couple who you guys have come to recognize, Taylor, these sleepwalkers who are this in between, and they scoop this guy off, run him away, and heal the injuries. Guy's knocked out. Nobody's there to witness. It's a miracle. Yep, sure is. Get back up. Don't ask questions.
Goddamn right.
Don't ask questions. Don't ask what happened. There's a lot of work to prevent, really bad injuries. It's like his leg is almost falling off. Yes, that's fine. Just keep it attached.
No, it's really not.
That little bit,
it wasn't as bad as it looked.
Right. There's a lot of that.
Better.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and especially actually, I think Atratus probably catches a big whiff of this, where there's a little bit of mind magic here and there, incognito presence bubbles that go over things and be like, you guys aren't seeing this. Cool, go. Okay, and then drop. And all of a sudden, oh, what just happened there? Nothing to see here. It's okay. And the sleepers...
And they're probably conditioned not to ask questions.
The sleepers definitely know magic is real. It's a big no-no for the Lex Magica. But for these guys, they tell them, no, this is really magic. You cannot see it. You just have to trust. And for a little while, it's very iffy, because some people were not as into it like Taylor was. Taylor's a sleepwalker, and his dad is, as you guys have probably figured out, the leader amongst the sleepers. And so is very aware of magic, had his failed awakening, and, now is like, okay, I get this. I understand why I have to be the intermediary. And the other sleepers unsure about it, and Taylor's there. Man, I trust you. I was there. I walked in. I saw stuff. It's okay. It wasn't as bad as we thought it was. He's fine. He's going to be up and running. He's going to be hugging you in like 20 minutes. It's okay. There's a lot of that. And there's some of the downside to that of people who get curious, things that go wrong. The hubris and the paradox. If somebody was at the door, somebody peeked in, and just little bits of, we're moving in a hurry. Somebody didn't get incognito presence up quick enough. So-and-so had a higher resolve than we realized. Of course, we don't speak in, mechanic terms, but all of a sudden somebody saw something. You guys deal with an awakening while you're there, which is fun, because this guy is all of a sudden wandering around and seeing the supernal. And it's like, okay, we need to cordon you off so you aren't mumbling, in front of everybody. And Fox in chat is very, very accurate. They're very highly trying to avoid dissonance, because the paradox not happening, you can cover that with incognito presence and invisibility and stuff like that to a point. But yeah, the big thing is some of those longer term spells that you need to let last, you got to hide that. And a wound that you just cure up, not a problem. Regenerating something, you got to and that's actually probably a thing that Songbird probably is asked to do, and some others where it's like, we need you to sacrifice some willpower here to try and put some of these people back together. So that way, because the mages know it, these sleepers are doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Now, there's some fights that show up later in when they realize that massed forces and just sleepers are not going to happen. And it's nothing comes in direct. Like fireballs do not show up falling from the sky, because that many sleepers, you're going to get wrecked by some paradox. And that's going to, upend things. But there are people, and just like Brighthall said, who show up and say, I claim that. It's mine. Duel me for it. And you guys get to watch as Elder Brother, who is the anti-Songbird. Mousy, small little guy with just like a bunch of, icons on his, on his robes shows up, and it's a supernal duel. And this guy's imagination and the stuff that he works is just this smooth. And so if you're a podcast crew, you're missing it out. I'm telling you, you got to show up to Twitch or YouTube. And, and Songbird is going, oh, dude. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get that. Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of that. And you talking with him, Elder Brother, this is what he does. Like Songbird thought this is what he does. No. Elder Brother, and more than happy, like, hey, let's have coffee after. And he's like, yeah, I literally have traveled to conciliums and other seers and challenged people to duels and broadened his experience. And this is what he does. And where like Songbird has some awesome adamant hand merits for fighting and spell casting, this dude has supernal duel merits. And
oh yeah,
it's what he does. And yes, the first guy shows up and he's like, I challenge you to a duel. Elder Brother is like, all right. And Songbird probably has that moment of, hang on, maybe I should.
Someone's like, I got that, and just like mousy little shoulder on my hand.
It's like, no, hang on. Yeah, and they definitely start to show up in groups. And where Songbird probably does his first ever like duel. Duel. DUALDUEL. I'd get there. And working alongside Elder Brother. And these are heavily regimented. Like the sleepers are obviously not there, but like all the other mages show up. Some mages from the opposition force, and they basically show up. We have a claim to that thing because this whatever reason. And basically
we have a claim to that thing because we want it.
Sure. We want it. And Elder Brother and Songbird basically write in the supernal realm, no you don't, and just get the fuck out.
Nah.
This is ours. Duel with the Tomb Tomes. Thank you, Griffin. These things
I would imagine Songbird uses a lot of life magic to sleep very little over the course of this time.
Probably. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple
because every bit that's not in battle is making things for them, is magicking up better weapons for the sleepers to use, is like training to be able to use a gun or a weapon for the first time in his life.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Like all of these things to like, no. I see now there are gaps in my resume, and
maybe I should learn how to use a gun. Yeah.
Fights where you can't throw magic at it. What do you do? Well,
yeah. Well, because I actually kind of appreciate the idea of like a fight starts up, Songbird is like, shit, that's a lot of sleepers. Hey, Atreides, I need to know how to gun. Touch your head.
You.
Yeah.
And as someone in chat said earlier, fair warning is absolutely a shotgun that Songbird whips up over the course of this month.
Yep. And it's 2 months of stuff, and you get into some, especially as the later months go on, there is that like the inevitable, oh shit, we are going to lose. And Elder Uncle at one point turns to Weird and says, go back. However far back you need to go back. Stop this from happening. And so Weird, you get the joy of seeing people dying and going, no, I have to stop this. And flinging yourself back, an hour and going, no, guys, we can't do this. And the internet meme of no time to explain.
Yeah.
And we have to change this. And that first one was probably rough to explain. the second one, the third one after that, where it's like, no, we have to change plans. The fourth one, where you change plans and all of a sudden find that their plans also change, and you are playing 4D chess now with somebody who's doing some of the same stuff. And which all of a sudden, and bear in mind, I'm speeding through this stuff. All this you could do a chronicle for. These various little events and stuff like that. But yeah, the minute where it's like, okay, we're dealing with somebody else using time magic and is countering our moves. Okay, we have to go find this mage. And you guys have a little commando mission to go find this mage and remove them. And so yeah, it is a lot of stuff. Tensions get high. You definitely get quite a few calls. Oh Lord, what is chat doing?
Don't even look.
Okay. But yeah, and the Concilium calls, ask some questions, calls up network calls you guys and says, hey, what do I tell them? What do we do?
A little busy right now. Sounds of gunfire.
Right. And like I said, there's a lot of these downtime moments where you guys have, get to meet some of these people, get to know Taylor better, get to know the other mages better. And compared to the mages of the Concilium, these mages are far more connected with sleepers than even folks like Network or some of the Silver Ladder who live. The Silver Ladder, put themselves on rungs, right? And they think of themselves above the Sleepwalkers, who are above the sleepers. But
because they're assholes.
Some of them are definitely assholes, but it's the benevolent dictator kind of vibe from them. Whereas these guys are like, yes, we know more, but they're far more similar to shepherds. It's like, I am right there alongside them, and I will put myself in front of the bear. I will take the big shepherd crook, which is terrific for pulling the sheep up, but it's also really great for hitting a bear over the head. I'd prefer to use a sling, but if it's this close, then I have a big stick. And so there's definitely a different vibe that you get from them. For all of you, Mako included, you guys aren't really tied into your blood family that, Songbird's the only one who really has it. Well, Weird has an aunt, great aunt, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Songbird has, parents and stuff like that, but they're off in Norway.
They haven't had a relationship in a long time.
Yeah. And Atratus literally, not to, harp on that, but everybody leaves Atratus, Songbird.
My family's dead.
This is a very different vibe. Elder Uncle, oh yeah, he's this, this magical leader of the group and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, these are his grandkids and his great-grandkids. And, so yes, they have something big on the line, but they also have that close, intimate, small thing that's on the line. So you get a lot of that. And then basically it all kind of ends. There's that moment where you guys are repelling the last little mixed arms force of sleepers and mages, which is a very subtle thing to work where, spells are lashing out. And particularly there's a lot of Sever Awakened Soul. As no sleeper's gonna see it, but boy, are you gonna feel it, kind of being flung about. And then they're drawing back, they're repelled, and realize it's like, we have hours left. And sit back, flop back onto, grass, and go, okay, it's done. They're deaths. Most of them sleepers. There's a couple mages who die. But at the end of the day, considering you just spent, 2 months and change in a siege of, which earlier I said it's not a siege, but now I say it's a siege. You guys get what I mean. And things kind of relax. And a realization that in a couple hours, the tomb tomes will be opened. and this Archmage will be let out and see judgment one way or another. Which we're not going to go into that too much, but the Tomb Tomes are open by Rytal, who appears in kind of this blazing starlight glory thing similar to the Messengers. Everybody is there to see this thing happen. Actually, no, I take that back. Not everybody. The mages and sleepwalkers are there. The sleepers are not able to. The dissonance and stuff like that would just be disastrous, which is a big bummer for them when they realize that. It's like, okay, this major thing is happening. You guys need to stay here. You can't see this. But, descriptions of it will happen later. Actually, another thing about it, the way it works, I think you could probably record it and show it to them later. Yeah. It's like, sorry guys, you don't get to watch this one live, but hey, after it's happening.
Can we give them a live feed TV camera?
No, because if it's happening live, you have a problem. But if you delay it enough, maybe, because remote viewing has to be live. But after that, you're free enough, because this is what happened at the end of the scene. So yeah, there's something there. But yeah, and there's definitely talk after the fact where people are like, it's all CG, it's all and there's still amongst these people who have grown up with this thing, seen these wacky things, that are like, I don't know, maybe magic isn't real. I don't know. But yes, Rytal shows up along with some of his avatars, and there are other Archmages who show up in similar divine guide kind of guises, and they open the Tomb Tomes, and visibly, I'm sure it looks like Rytal basically reaching into this emptiness that opens up and just pulling out carefully, a hand reaching down and pulling up a normal human person, a gentleman who looks like he's missed some sleep, but overall looks healthy and normal, and clothed kind of similarly to Rytal, with these living weird clothes. And the Archmages have a conversation in high speech, and it's unsure. I mean, he's not executed on the spot, as far as you all see, but there's conversation, there's a back and forth, there's questions of, do you understand what you did and why we can't allow it to happen? And Weird especially, and at this point, because I believe Songbird has studied up some fate at this point with Weird, that there is some magical oaths, that are basically administered, and says, yes, I am going to prevent what I am going to do. I'm going to prevent it from happening. And which, again, there's one of those little time things of like, what? Right.
If I change this thing, it will not have happened. Will not have been going to happen.
Yep.
Homestive.
Yep. Exactly that. Songbird took fate. Judd does. I did actually think about that, Kamo. Judd does not turn into the judge to judge an immortal Archmaster. No, it's probably.
I don't think he's got that kind of clout.
Yeah, Judd gives over to Judge. Judge goes, no, you can have it. I'm out.
As far as the fate thing goes, because I meant to talk about that when I was talking about other things I was doing, especially after that conversation with Rytal, Slumbird's like, no, I've got to be able to see if what I'm doing has been influenced. Like I've got to know if this is me.
Is this my free will, or am I following along puppet strings?
Right. Because if I'm about to do something crazy, I want to make sure that it is my own voice, and is my own density.
Yep. Yeah, and there's the big event kind of fate things that are harder to spot. Like this entire time, Weird's had Fate 5, had no idea that you all have not necessarily played into the hands of, but have been following along a destiny.
Fate is a subtle arcana. It's not always possible to see.
But
and also,
like
and Weird's view is that
like.
Go ahead.
That's just like the starting point of why Songbird starts looking into it and then learns, and then it definitely mellows out when he realizes okay, this is what it can do.
And this is also kind of like Weird to be a little nervous because now he kind of understands how little control she actually has over stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle as far as fate. You can specify destination or a path, not both.
Right. Yeah, that's actually pretty good at. It's good to look at it. But yeah, learning fate in order to not be fate's bitch sounds like something. Yeah. Yeah. It's very similar to Atratus learning mind. It's like, I don't like what you can do with mind, so I'm going to learn mind so I can prevent it, fix it. Yeah. Which I'm a big fan of that concept. But yeah, at the end of the day, the Archmages at least put a stay of execution, take these O's, and basically then they're gone. There's a little, I almost said eulogy. There's a little farewell from Rytal to the elder members and the Sleepwalkers, thanking them for their service and wishing them well. There is a transfer of funds that is not insignificant to be spread amongst the council. It's like, at this point, all these funds, all these things that they're no longer necessary for this use. There's some things and some personnel and some material goods, both in terms of material and armor and weapons and artifacts and things of that nature that are moved elsewhere. But the council themselves, it's a big old party. Because there's some people who are like, I don't know about this, but was this real? Like, I know great granddaddy believed in this and everybody believed all the way down. And there's this book that's pretty damn accurate, but I don't know. But hey, party, free beer. Yeah. Okay. There is a massive relaxing. A lot of the kids who have spent the last 2 months in lockdown, basically like, oh my God, we can be free. We can run around. We can do this stuff. I'm going home and I'm going to go see my buddies. I can have my birthday party. Man, there were a bunch of birthday parties over this past 2 months. A couple of these kids, and it's like everybody showed up and they're like, yay, everybody showed up to my birthday party, but I'm still having it in this bunker, which is dumb. It's not a Chuck E. Cheese. But
until they get the most radical fucking piñata ever.
That's very true. Uncle Songbird shows up and goes, listen, kids.
It's like 4 times the amount of candy inside that piñata that it should
have. Oh, yeah. But yes. And so there's a big relaxing, there's a celebration. And for all of them, for the sleepers, this is the end of the book. This is where the book ends. The Sleepwalkers and the Elder members have a much bigger book, and they have new tasks. And basically, the Elder members, except for Elder Uncle and Elder Aunt, they have new jobs and new councils to join up with, and new tasks. Elder Uncle, Elder Aunt, who are not related, but they're like, I'm now going to go. I believe Elder Uncle is probably the one who says, I have a porch and a rocking chair and a glass of lemonade, and I'm going to go sit on it. I'm going to bounce my grandkids and my great grandkids on my knee, and I'm done. I'm out. I'm going to put up a bunch of wards around my house. Ain't nobody going to fuck with me, and I'm just done, man. and especially for them seeing like the Ascended Masters, it's like, yeah, the push to become an Archmage, it's there, it's tempting, but at the same time, I don't want to be involved in that. Like, for Elder Uncle especially, he's been involved in that for the past, 60, 70 odd years. Nah, I'm good. Yeah, that's true. Eladon, the Ebon Phoenix probably does some counseling throughout the entire process, as well as probably being one of the scarier, like, hey, there's an enemy mage over there. Okay, yoink that soul. And along the way, because Tritus gets Gnosis 6 and picks up the next level of attainment, the Dot of Forces. Weird picks up Matter 2, and a Mask, which we'll probably go into next episode. Tritus also gets a alternate identity, which we'll probably also talk about more on the next episode, which Twitch Guys is going to be in just a couple minutes, so don't you worry. But while we're here, wrap up party, 2 months have passed. Is there anything that you guys...
Just did we get a chance to talk to Rytal to confirm that he had his... No, we didn't? Okay.
Tad is what?
His chat with What's-Her-Face?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that happened. But yeah.
We're alive.
Yeah, you guys are alive.
And I honestly don't care what happened to Ursula, so...
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, you guys... Like, I think if you asked Rytal would look at Weird and go, I thought you'd wanted to avoid Archmage entanglements.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we were clear.
That's fair.
Go to the pub, have a pint, wait for this all to blow over.
Yep.
Yeah. The only reason we were to be asking was just to confirm, like, we have nothing to worry about? Okay, good. We have nothing to worry about.
Yep. That's all I need to know. Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. If there was nothing further there in the hills of Montana, you guys scoop up Judd and Nako and be brought back to New York City.
Head on home.
Yep.
New York City!
Thank you. Which after 2 months of being out here in wide open big sky country, I think is Montana, and then all of a sudden, New York City, and foomp! Oh!
Songbird sprints to the closest place to get a fucking bagel.
Yeah, okay, fair. But yeah. So with that, Twitch guys, we're going to go on a break. YouTube guys, we will catch you on the next episode. As always, thank you for joining us. Come join us on Discord. That's yeetinto.space. It is always awesome to see folks joining us. You are never too late to join. Also, you're never too early to join. If you've made it to 157 and still have not joined Discord, just come on. Just hop on over. But we have people joining from episode 30. I just completed episode 100. Just join. Just come hang out. It's cool. It's a safe place. We love you. Your family here. Olive Garden.
Don't.
Moving right along. Oh God, this has been a week.
Where's my spray bottle? Squirt.
Yes.
No.
Join the meme team, exactly. But yes, join us on Discord, yeetinto.space. You just put that into the URL, that will take you there. If you want to support us monetarily, that's patreon.com/occultistsanonymous or staylucky.club. And of course, you can pick up merch from occultanon.threadless.com. And there's other ways to support us too. I'm not going to rant your ear off about that. So Twitch guys, we'll be back in just a couple minutes. YouTube guys, we will see you on Friday.
Stay lucky.